So I'm sitting here looking through my dictionary of classical antiquities that I picked up the end of last year. And I opened it up to a random page, and by coincidence, I opened it up to books and book trade. And this is quite an interesting little bit here on the book trade in ancient Greece. And I haven't read through the whole passage, but it was interesting enough that I thought I'd pick my phone up here and film a little bit and share it with you as well. So books and book trade. The Greeks were early familiar with the practice of multiplying copies of books by transcription, either to private order or for public sale. As far back as the 5th century BC, the Athenians had a special place in their marketplace for selling books, and it is clearly established that a regular book fair existed at Athens by about 300 BC. In Rome, towards the end of the Republican age, the business of copying books and the book trade in general developed on a large scale, and it became a fashionable thing to possess a library. The book trade, in the proper sense of the term, owes its existence to Atticus, the well-known friend of Cicero. He kept a number of slaves skilled in shorthand and calligraphy, librari, I'm assuming that is the word for calligraphy here, whom he set to copy a number of Cicero's writings, which he then disposed of at a considerable profit in Italy and Greece. His example was soon followed, especially as the interest in new literary productions and the love of reading greatly increased after the time of Augustus. To facilitate the appearance of a great number of copies at the same time, and we flip over the page here, the scribes were often set to write from dictation. Much use was made of the abbreviations invented by Tiro, the freedman of Cicero. The binding was done, as well as the writing, by the librari. And so obviously that was not the word for calligraphy. I'm assuming the librari is the word here for the same people who are doing the writing, so the scribes who are copying out these books. And as the brittle papyrus was the usual material, the book was generally made up in the form of a roll. See writing materials. The ends of the roll were strengthened with thin strips of bone or wood, which were either provided at top and bottom with a knob, umbilicus, or finished off in the shape of a horn. Previously to this, the upper and lower edges were carefully clipped, smoothed with pumice stone, and tinted with black. To protect it from moths and worms, the roll was dipped in cedar oil, which gave it a yellowish tinge. The title of the work, titulus or index, was written on a red strip of parchment attached to the end of the roll. Expensive copies, especially in the case of poems, had a gilt umbilicus, as well as a parchment cover of purple color. The books were then exposed for sale in the bookseller's shop and sold at what appear, considering the circumstances, reasonable prices. The booksellers were called librari or bibliopoli. Okay, so that's the definition of the word librari there. So they were the booksellers, which I guess are the same. So the booksellers are also the bookbinders here. Their shops were situated in the most frequented parts of the city and much used both as reading rooms and rendezvous for learned discussion. As a general rule, there was a good sale of books, especially such as had won popularity before publication in the public recitations. And it says to see recitations. Books were also much bought in the provinces, whose inhabitants were anxious to keep abreast with the intellectual life of the capital. Even works which were little thought of in Rome sometimes found an easy sale in other parts of the empire. It does not appear that the author received any honorarium from the publisher. And so that is the passage here on books and book selling. And I'll just flip the spine here. So as a reminder, in case you didn't see my video in, I think it was November when I purchased this. This is the Dictionary of Classical Antiquities, Nettleship and Sandys. And as you can see, it's an older one. It's got book plates in the front here. And yeah, 1902.